America had its civil war, and no one interfered in it. There were civil wars in Spain, China, and countries all over the world. No place on earth has been free of civil wars. Let there be a civil war in Iraq. If the Iraqis want to have a civil war and fight each other, that's fine. Who says that if the Taliban form a government, they would possess intercontinental missiles of the kind of airplanes that hit New York? Did those aeroplanes take off from Afghanistan or Iraq? No, they took off from American airports. So why is Afghanistan being struck? The terrorists were not Afghans or Taliban or Iraqis. Why are we silent? We must never be war devils. Anyone who does not speak the truth is a silent devil. We are committed to international peace and security. We do not wish to scorn or ridicule humankind. We want to save humanity. As President of the General Assembly, Mr. Ali Trekkie should open an investigation of the assassinations file, in addition to the war files. Who killed Patrice Lumumba and why? We merely want to record it in the annals of African history. We want to know how an African leader, a liberator, came to be assassinated. Who killed him? We want our sons to be able to read the history of how Patrice Lumumba, the hero of Congo's liberation struggle, was assassinated. We want to know the facts, even 50 years on. That is one file that should be reopened. And who killed Secretary General Doug Hammarskjöld? Who fired on his aeroplane in 1961 and why? And then there's the assassination of United States President Kennedy in 1963. We want to know who killed him and why. There was someone called Lee Harvey Oswald, who was then killed by one Jack Ruby. But why did he kill him? Jack Ruby, an Israeli, killed Lee Harvey Oswald, who killed Kennedy. Why did this Israeli kill Kennedy's killer? Then Jack Ruby, the killer of Kennedy, die in mysterious circumstances before he could be tried. We must open the files. The whole world knows that Kennedy wanted to investigate the Israeli Dimona nuclear reactor. This involves international peace and security and weapons of mass destruction. That is why we should open this file. Then there's the assassination of Martin Luther King, the black reverend and human rights activist. His assassination was a plot, and we should know why he was killed and who killed him. And then there was Khalil Wazir, or Abu Jihad, a Palestinian, was attacked. He was living peacefully in Tunisia, a member state, and that country's sovereignty was not respected. We cannot keep silent, even though submarines and ships were detected along the coast of Tunisia where he was killed. No one was accused or tried. Abu Yad was also killed, and we should know how he was killed. He was killed in ambiguous circumstances. In Operation Spring of Youth, Kamal Nasser, a poet, Kamal Adwan and Abu Yusuf al-Najjar, 3 Palestinians, were killed in Lebanon, a country that is free, a sovereign state, member of the General Assembly. They were attacked and killed while sleeping peacefully. We should know who killed them, and he should be tried so that the crimes against humanity are not repeated. We've already talked about the size of the force used in the invasion of Grenada. 7,000 troops, 15 battleships, dozens of bombers. And President Bishop was killed even though Grenada was a member state. Those are crimes, and we cannot keep silent. Otherwise we will look like sacrificial beasts. We are not animals. Year after year we are attacked. We defend ourselves, our sons, our children, and we are not afraid. We have the right to live, and the earth is not destined for violence, but for us all. We can never live on this earth in such humiliation. So those are the wars. The last files is that of the massacres. In the Sabra and Shatila massacre, 3,000 people were killed. That area was under the protection of the occupying Israeli army and was the site of huge and calamitous massacre in which 3,000 Palestinian men, women and children were killed. How can we keep quiet? Lebanon is a sovereign state. A member of the General Assembly was occupied. Sabra and Shatila were under Israeli control, and then the massacre took place. And then there was the 2008 massacre in Gaza. There were 1,000 women and 2,200 children among the victims killed in the massacre in Gaza in 2008.
تم تدمير 50 مؤسسة تبع الأمم المتحدة تبع هذه الجمعية.
60 United Nations facilities and another 30 belonging to non-governmental organizations were damaged. 50 clinics were destroyed. 40 doctors and nurses were killed while carrying out humanitarian activities. This took place in Gaza in December 2008. The perpetrators are still alive, and they should be tried by the International Criminal Court. Should we try only the underdogs, the weak and the poor of the third world countries, and not important and protected figures? Under international law, they should all face trial for the consequences of the crimes that they have committed. Otherwise, the role of the ICC would never be recognized. If the decisions of the ICC are not respected or implemented, if the General Assembly and the Security Council mean nothing, and if the International Atomic Energy Agency serves only certain countries and organizations, then what is the United Nations? It would mean that the United Nations is nothing, and this is insignificant. Where is it? There is no United Nations. Then, while piracy may be a phenomenon of the high seas, a form of terrorism, we may talk about the piracy in Somalia. Somalis are not pirates. We are the pirates. We went there and usurped their economic zones, their fishing, their wealth. Libya, India, Japan, America, any country in the world. We're all pirates. We all entered the territorial waters and economic zones of Somalia and stole. The Somalis are protecting their own fish, their sustenance. They have become pirates because they are defending their children's food. Now we seek to address that matter in the wrong way. Should we send warships to Somalia? We should send warships to the pirates who have attacked and seized the economic zones and wealth of the Somalis and the food of their children. I met the pirates, and I told them that I would negotiate an agreement between them and the international community that respects the 200-mile exclusive economic zone under the law of the sea, and that protects all marine resources belonging to the Somali people. And that stops all countries from disposing of toxic waste along the Somali coast. In return, the Somalis would no longer attack any ships. We will propose and draft such an international treaty and submit it to the General Assembly. That is the solution. The solution does not lie in sending more military ships to fight the Somalis. That is not a solution. We are addressing the phenomena of piracy and terrorism in the wrong way. Today, there is swine flu. Perhaps tomorrow there'll be fish flu. Because sometimes we produce viruses by controlling them. It is a commercial business. Capitalist companies produce viruses so that they can generate and sell vaccinations. This is very shameful and poor ethics. Vaccinations and medicine should not be sold. In the Green Book, I maintain that medicines should not be sold or subject to commercialization. Medicines should be free of charge and vaccinations given free to children. But capitalist companies produce the viruses and vaccinations and want to make a profit. Why are they not free of charge? We should give them free of charge, not sell them. The entire world should strive to protect our people, create and manufacture vaccinations, and then give them for free to children and women and not profit by them. All those items are on the agenda of the General Assembly, which has to exercise that duty. The Ottawa Convention on Landmines forbids the production of landmines. That is wrong. Landmines are defensive weapons. If I place them along the border of my country and someone wants to invade me, they may be killed. That's all right, because they're invading me. The convention should be reconsidered. I'm not taking that defensive weapon to another country. The enemy is coming to me, and on the Al Gaddafi website, I call for that treaty to be modified or annulled. This treaty should be modified or annulled. I want to use anti-personnel mines to defend my home against invasion. Eliminate weapons of mass destruction, not landmines, which are defensive weapons. With regard to the Palestinian situation, the two-state solution is impossible. It is not practical. Currently, these two states completely overlap. Partition is doomed to failure. These two states are not neighbours. They are co-extensive in terms of both population and geography. A buffer zone cannot be created between the two states because there are 500,000 Israeli settlers in the West Bank and 1 million Arab Palestinians in the territory known as Israel. The solution, therefore, is a democratic state without religious fanaticism or ethnicity. The generation of Sharon and Arafat is over. We need a new generation in which everyone can live in peace. Look at the Palestinian and Israeli youth. They both want peace and democracy. And they want to live under one state. This conflict poisons the world. The White Book actually has the solution. I hold it here. The solution is retained. Arabs should have no hostility or animosity towards Israel. We are cousins of the same race. We want to live in peace. The refugees should go back. You are the ones who brought the Holocaust upon the Jews. You, not we, are the ones who burned them. We gave them refuge. We gave them safe haven during the Roman era and the Arab reign in Andalusia and during the rule of Hitler. You are the ones who poisoned them. You are the ones who annihilated them. We provided them with protection. You expelled them. Let us see the truth. We are not hostile. We are not enemies of the Jews. And one day the Jews will need the Arabs. At that point, Arabs will be the ones to give them protection, to save them. And we hope, as we have done in the past. Look at what everybody else did to the Jews. Hitler is an example. You are the ones who hate the Jews, not us. In brief, Kashmir should be an independent state, neither Indian nor Pakistani. We must end that conflict. Kashmir should be a buffer state between India and Pakistan. With regard to Darfur, I truly hope that the assistance provided by the international organisations can be used for development projects, for agriculture, for industry and for irrigation. You are the ones who made it a crisis. You put it on the altar. You wanted to sacrifice Darfur so you could interfere in its internal affairs. You've turned the Hariri problem into a United Nations problem. You are selling Hariri's corpse. You just want to settle scores with Syria. Lebanon is an independent state. It has law courts, a judiciary and police. At this stage, it is no longer the perpetrators that are being sought. The real wish is to settle scores with Syria, not ensure justice for Hariri. The cases of Khalil al-Wazir, Lumumba, Kennedy and Hammarskjöld should also have been turned over to the United Nations if the Hariri case merits such attention.